Hello everybody, my name's James. Welcome to the Planet FPL Double Gameweek 25 Deadline stream in partnership with FPL Team. And it's live. FPL Team is your best one-stop shop for all your future FPL planning. I've spent a lot of my week on it. You may well have done so too. What's FPL Team? My goodness, you must be living under a rock. Shout out Pete, hope you're well on this Saturday morning where we are 55 minutes away from the Double Gameweek 25 deadline. I'm going to answer as many of your questions as possible over the forthcoming 55 minutes. But before I do, some clarity on the graphics on screen. Firstly, my team, as shown, top right hand corner, don't intend to change this. Triple captain is active on Erling Haaland, -4 taken to sell Trent Alexander-Arnold and Cole Palmer for Diogo Dalot. And yep, I've taken my medicine and I'm doing what I'd have advised others to do, and that's probably get Bukayo Saka back. That's what I've decided to do. I just figured it and I thought, what would I tell others to do? I'd be like, get him back. So that was the solution for me. I had Jota in place, wasn't interested in any other Liverpool midfielders. Had the 3 City midfielders in place. It would have been a -8 to force in De Bruyne. So Saka was really the right choice for me once the money became back available from not having Trent. So I line up this week with Dubravka, Dalot, which the choice of Dalot, by the way, is to pair up with Doughty. That's kind of on an either or of what Manchester United do against Nottingham Forest in the Cup. I should have back 3 in place for game week 29, unless in the unlikely circumstance where Luton beat Manchester City, in which case we're all in trouble and it doesn't particularly matter. So I'm Dubravka in goal, back 3 of Dalot, Gabriel and Doughty, Saka, Bowen, Jota, Foden, Alvarez vice captain, Haaland triple captain, Watkins on the bench, Areola, Bailey, Pau Torres, and an injured Pedro Porro. I think is probably still going to need to be part of my plans between 27 and 29. On Alvarez vice captain, the simple logic behind that is quite honestly, well, if Erling Haaland did rip his hamstring in the warm-up today, then who would I want a triple captain instead? Well, Alvarez would play instead, wouldn't he? So that's the thinking behind going Alvarez as the triple captain, even though I certainly wouldn't advise him as most people's captain. To the left of me, you'll see the top captaincy picks. It's Haaland all the way for me, really, this week. I think De Bruyne, Foden make up the top 3. You'll also see my correct score predictions for all 12 games this week, which includes no clean sheet predicted for any of the doublers except for Manchester City today. Right at the bottom of the screen, you'll see the fixture ticker for the next 5 game weeks, full 20 teams. Blue fixtures indicate a double game week. The FDR is taken from FPL's official site. And above that, you'll see the benching dilemmas. Lots of big names on there this week, where there are 2 players together. The player with the tick is the preferred option to start from the 2. They run in order, pages 1 to 4, left to right, and you'll see the keepers on page 5 of that as well. And on the bottom right hand corner of the screen, you'll see my predicted lineups for all 20 teams this game week, which firstly I'm going to highlight this one to you. There is speculation, and it is only that at the moment, that this on screen is the Liverpool team that will play Brentford at lunchtime. That is Kelleher, Bradley, Konate, Van Dijk, Robertson, McAllister, Endo, Jones, Jota, Nunes, Diaz. That remains a predicted lineup at the moment, but that is the rumoured team that I've seen knocking about in a few places. Obviously all the rest are predicted teams. I am not ITK. I just share my best case predictions, which are often wrong. Although I think with a week's break for everyone except Manchester City, many teams may well be unchanged going into this one. That's the graphic sorted. Let's get into your questions, he says, not ready to actually answer questions. That's removed my pinned message for the moment so I can see who is first. And it's Billy Taylor. Says, howdy Jimbo. Do you prefer a -4 for Jota and Gabriel or Bradley and Saka? Palmer and Trent are the players coming out and I can't afford Gabriel and Saka together. So Bradley and Saka, Palmer and Bradley and Saka, Jota and Gabriel. Oof. I think Jota and Gabriel But just a consideration of what's your route for Saka next week. Could you get from Jota to Saka next week? What's your plan for that if you wanted to get him back? That's all. But I think, although we think Bradley's probably going to be in a Liverpool team today, I'm not quite sure how likely he is to start twice. And the same obviously applies to Jota. I mean, the only Liverpool player I've got true confidence in starting twice is Alisson, or now Kelleher with this. We can only assume correct news going around that Alisson's done his hamstring. So I guess similar applies to Jota as well. I think Gabriel and Jota, I think, is the way I'd go there, Billy. That's close. It's tough. Emily Sissoni says, hey, James, went Trent to Reguilon to prep for Gameweek 26-29. Plan was to bench him and play Porro, Walker and Estupinan. Now with Porro's injury, would you move Gusto to Pau Torres for -4 to bench Reguilon? Now we just play Reggie, I think, mate. To be honest, we couldn't even. I'm pretty confident Pau Torres probably has to play for Villa today, but as a -4, no, I think just play Reguilon with an extra fixture. Think about it, Reguilon 2 fixtures. What's Pau Torres? Yeah, what's best case scenario? Well, best case scenario, I guess, is a goal and a clean sheet, 15 points, but realistically, it's probably clean sheet 6 or maybe goal taking him up to like 8, 9. Reguilon expected points 4 maybe. I don't think it's worth the hit, mate. Emily also says, hey James, another transfer option. Context: went Trent to Reguilon, would you go Walker to Pau Torres and Palmer to KDB from -8? Would mean benching Garnacho. No, again, I wouldn't force it about I'd rather have KDB than Alvarez this week, personally. But it was going to be like a -8 to get that done for me. So no, I just wouldn't thump about with the City players you've got unless you've landed with something like Grealish or Gvardiol. Then of course, yeah, it needs to go. Nick Burke says, would you take a punt on KDB over Haaland for triple captain this week? No, I wouldn't, mate. I don't really know what to add to that other than that there's no point me bullshitting something different to what I normally say to you guys. Is when he has a home game, I don't want to argue with him because of what he can be. And I know there's always the argument of, well, I'm behind, I need to do this, that and the other because I need a differential because I'm so far behind. Harry, do you want to come and say hello while you're here, just for jokes? Come on in. You're still in your pyjamas, aren't you? Yeah, look, come here.
Yeah.
People are interested in you and want to know that you're okay. Can you say hello, please?
Hello.
That's very nice of you. Can you also say it's Saturday?
You get
yeah. It's Saturday. Can you say, come on, Tottenham? Come on, you Spurs. That'll do. Cheers. Thanks, Mum. Off you go. Good lad. Bye-bye. Good job. Bye. Have a good day. Have a nice life. Yeah, I don't want to argue with him when he's got 2 home games. I've said for the last couple of weeks, if he had Liverpool and Arsenal was the 2 home games this week, I'd have triple captained him. Oh, miles behind. I need to go something different. Yeah, well, you might just be even worse behind. He's not a player that I'd want to argue with 2 home games, personally. There'll be other opportunities to make up grounds just purely by benefit and doubles and engagement to what's happening. So, no, I wouldn't go against him. Who's next? Chris Bradley says, morning James, I've already done Trent to Gabriel. Is Gusto to VVD -4 worth it? Would then be playing VVD over Moreno this week. Doesn't impact me money wise for my future transfer plans, thanks. So it's in the immediate, and I'm guessing VVD might just be a 1 week buy for you. In the immediate, you're taking that -4 over Moreno, aren't you? Yeah, I'd probably do it, to be honest. If it doesn't leave you any worse off for next week, which it shouldn't do, because they're both blank Gusto and VVD next week, and you've got Moreno in place for next week. Yeah, I probably would, with Gusto's fixture as well, Chris, I probably would go for the upside on that, yeah. Rhett says, Trent to Aki for 3. Trent and Palmer to KDB to 4.0 defender. I can see the want to get KDB. If you're going 4.0 defender, a couple of options for you. You've got the Luton guys. I think Ted and Mengi would be the one to go for at 3.9, but of course he blanks next week. If you need someone to cover you through both, I think Jan-Paul van Heck is probably your solution now. So, yes, I think if you can go KDB, Rhett, go for it. Nikki Kassam says, happy weekend, James. Transfer's done. Then saw the Allison news. Think it's worth a -4 to change my subkeeper to Keller. Means not starting Sarr. Conflict as I have Richarlison. Have a great weekend. Yeah, don't sell Sarr though, because Sarr will obviously be very useful for you next week. So, I mean, it's got to be Allison that would go. Yeah, that's probably a rare one where I'd say, okay, let's do it. You know, I mean, I'm not a lover of goalkeeper hits, and as some of you may well have seen, the tweet I posted last night was really interesting. That obviously when the Allison news broke last night, I thought, oh, -4 for Keller, I could do that. And you think, well, I'd only play him this week and in game week 27 out of the next 5. Is that worth it? Probably not. And then I kind of reversed back and I was like, why was I never considering this for Allison? And I could have afforded that for Allison, right? I wasn't blocked by other Liverpool players or anything like that. So why did I not think about an Allison -4 and yet suddenly, there's 3.7 keepers available. Let's take a -4 for him. And he's obviously inferior and it weakens Liverpool's potential for clean sheets. So it's an interesting one. It just played tricks on the mind. I won't have been the only person that went through that thought last night, I'm sure. But I think, yeah, if the Allison news is correct, and we do think it probably is, then yeah, I would get it done personally. By the way, guys, for those watching live, let's get a like smash. There's about 12% of you have done so far. It's free content, doesn't cost anything to smash the fun button. And for the patrons, obviously, watching live, Slack is the place to get hold of me if we've got any confirmed and reliable team news going around. If anything is shared, obviously I will share it with you that's going around from usual sources. I'm sure we can expect some Manchester City team news to drop at around about 10:45 a.m. These guys have been sitting on it from last night, but it's exciting coming towards the deadline, isn't it? Sean says, morning James, would you do Dubravka to Kaminsky for free? Areola second keeper to cover 26. For free, yeah, I don't mind that. It's obviously giving you an extra doubler in 28 as well. Might even give you a better keeper for 29 as well, subject to how you feel about that. Areola's the one you want to keep because of 26. That's absolutely correct. So yeah, it would have been Dubravka going for me had I made that sort of Keller move. So for free, yep, I don't mind it, Sean. It's not going to negatively impact your 26, so it's fine with me, mate. Frankie says, James, I'm looking at a -8. Trent, Pedro Porro and Cole Palmer to Bradley, Reguilon and KDB. What are your thoughts on that? And if we should avoid KDB to aim for Salah in 27? Thanks, mate. I don't really have any intention to get Mo in 27 unless Liverpool lose to Southampton in the Cup. Then that changes the game and he probably needs forcing in because of 29 then. But with City afterwards, I'll probably wildcard after 29. No, I don't see me forcing back for Nottingham Forest, which, it's Nuno ball. It will be a low block against Liverpool, that kind of thing. I'm not overly fussed for that, to be honest. The other thing to say is, I mean, just on logic here, I would have thought having KDB in your squad wouldn't make it more difficult to get towards Salah. No, you'd be at a closer price bracket than if you don't have someone like that, I would have thought, but I had missed this tweet from Lazy FPL, by the way, that was at 9:40 a.m. It shouldn't come as any surprise to anyone. They've obviously said that Salah doesn't start for Liverpool, which, as I said, that wasn't part of the rumoured team going round. It doesn't surprise me. I'm sure he'd be involved off the bench today, but that comes as no surprise at all. That was sent at 9:40, nice and early. Thank you to Lazy FPL. I think it was pretty much common knowledge from enough rumours going around, though, in any case. On the -8, yeah, I don't mind it. I mean, I don't mind it because of what you're selling, right? Trent and Porro got no games. Palmer's at Man City. You should make it back, I think, probably. KDB could make it back on his own, couldn't he? So I think it's a probably yes. Just consider how that leaves you for 26, but can't be worse, I don't think. No, you're selling 3 players that don't play in 26 and buying one that would has a blank in 26. So yeah, you're better off, mate. It's fine. Ian from Melbourne says, evening James, because he's in Melbourne. How's your leg this week? Hope you feel better. It's bad. And yes, I've been in touch with a doctor. Thanks for your content on Patreon this game week. I feel a lot more confident about my strategy after listening to you guys. Up the shrimpers. Thank you, mate. Why are you messaging me now? Okay, like if you look at the fixtures at the bottom of the screen, there's 4 teams playing later in the week. So there's 2 on Tuesday, 2 on Wednesday. City, Brentford, Liverpool, Luton. But you got to remember, Liverpool and Luton don't play next week. Love you, bye. Pushkar says, howdy James, thoughts on the best defender under 5.8? Bradley, Gabriel, Moreno, Dalot. I mean Gabriel from that, to be honest. My going Dalot is what I said at the start of the stream, is to kind of split my coverage across different teams in case there's shocks in the cup. And obviously if suddenly Luton blank in 29, then it's more likely that Manchester United play in 29. That probably because Nottingham Forest beat Manchester United in the cup. I'm aware that there's a combination there with Luton and Manchester United both win and neither of them play in 29, but in which case we might be down to 3 fixtures, so no one's getting to 11 planning through under that circumstance really anyway. So it's to cover me up. If I didn't have any Arsenal coverage, it's Gabriel, mate. I think them next 8 fixtures are great. Just think of it logically like this: 2 home games against Newcastle, who might be without a centre forward, and actually notoriously don't do particularly well at the Emirates. Then it's Brentford at home in 28. That's fine. And the 2 away games over the next 4 against the 2 worst teams in the league. Yeah, it's an Arsenal player if you haven't got any. And how do I not add an Arsenal player? I certainly would have brought Gabriel over Dalot this week. Dan Cranstone says, hey James, already made the transfers. Trent and Gusto to Aki and Reguilon. What about Archer to Tony for -4? Or leave it? Well, you weren't going to start Archer anyway, so it's not effective over Archer, is it? Who's playing instead is really important to the equation here, mate. My instinct is leave it, which I explained a lot on Thursday, that Tony might make the movement around about 28, 29 quite awkward if you want to keep the value of Haaland through to game week 30. It's going to be subject to your plan, etc. Yada, yada, yada. I mean, he's probably going to go to 14.5 tonight. Haaland's, it's jumping, isn't it? And the same, there's going to be sells building to 29, and then people are going to buy him back again, and we can't be surprised now if he's going to be 14.7, 14.8 going into game week 30, game week 31. So yeah, that's the biggest one. Tony blocks. Why does Tony block? Because you're going to want Solanke for 28, and if you're building towards 29, you're going to want Watkins, and Watkins got great fixtures. Like if you've got Darwin Núñez this week, great, brilliant. But there's every chance you're going to look at next week Watkins at home to Forest if you don't have, and that's your move. And Tony just makes part of it awkward, where in 28 you're going to have to, or 29 you're going to have to sell Haaland. That's it. If you go for him now, or even earlier. You're either going without Watkins to 29, or you've got to buy Solanke for Haaland in 28 if you're heading to 29. That's why nothing against Tony. That's the problem that buying Tony specifically gives you. Mirza says, hi James, need to bench one of Bruno Fernandes, Watkins and Gordon. Not fun at all. It's probably Bruno Fernandes from that, mate. Rhett says -4 or Trent, Palmer and Porro to KDB 4.0 and Kanate -8. Yeah, don't mind that. I think, again, just be careful of game week 26 rep. But yeah, the -8 is okay there considering what you're selling. My homie says, hi James, 2 free transfers. My plan was to sell Colwell for Villa, defender due to 26, 29. But with Alisson out, views on Dubravka to Kelleher would mean possible -4 next week to get 11, or stick to the plan and take Villa defender, no hits, 2 FTs next week. Who's your other keeper, mate? That's really important in this equation, mate. Who is your other keeper? That's really important. I think if you've got Areola as one of your other keepers, it's probably a no for me. Steve Greenwell says, would you move Totti to Aki for -4? Thank you. Totti Gomez. Don't see that one much. I'm going to guess you weren't going to start him anyway. And is he not going to be really useful for you next week at Sheffield United? Not sure I'd do that. On the immediate, sure. But Gomez would be probably very useful for you next week and maybe in 28 as well. So I don't think I would, actually. For free, yes. -4, not sure. Gomez would be so useful for you next week, I think. Stickson says, morning James, hope you're well, mate. Is Richarlison to Jota worth a -4? I would still have 11 in game week 26. Neither would play in game week 28, but I'd only have 10 in 29. No, I think once you go to the full loop of that, and how Richarlison will probably be useful to you 27 to 29, I think no. is the answer. I get the upside and the appeal. Obviously, both players blank next week, so there's in theory an extra fixture for Jota this week, but there's an extra fixture for Richarlison later on. So you're factoring the potential hits, right? So it's -4 for Jota now, and if you get rid of Richarlison, it's probably another -4 later on. So it's actually an effective -8 for you, not for me. Frankie says, what are your thoughts on the minimum amount of players you need in Game Week 29 to not use free hit? It's not the how many. I always say this. It's more important of the what. If you're going into Game Week 29 and you've got treble Burnley defence, well, great. Yeah, I've got to 11. It's the who is way more important. If you're covering off your key bases, you're probably your Watkins, your Tony, your Tottenham attackers, Doughty if he plays in that week because he'll be really popular, then no stress. No stress. At the moment, it doesn't look like it's going to be good enough to have 11. Now, part of my strategy is to get to it, but it's more important about the who. Part of that 11 is I'll have the who's that are important. So don't stress so much about the physical number, the who, right? If you get into 11 and 29, but you've got no Tony, no Watkins, no Richarlison, stuff like this, there's more chance you getting absolutely destroyed than if you get there with 8 players and coverage of those players. Ren says Trent and Bernardo to Gabriel and Kevin for -4. My wife's messaged me. We can debate this. Trent and Bernardo to Gabriel and Kevin from -4 is my first likely option. Could also do Dubravka or Areola to another -4 to a doubling keeper. I wouldn't stress about the keeper. I've kept with Dubravka and Areola. I obviously could have made that sort of move and haven't. My wife has said Solanke to Alvarez and Pinnock for Pedro. 1.5. She means Porro. Yeah, she obviously means Porro. Pedro Porro. 1.5 million left in the blank and 2 free transfers. So, no. 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 Leave Solanke in, get Aki for Porro and have a second look. Jocks, good morning and good luck, James. Trent and Richie out for KDB and Bradley from -4 or roll, please. Trent and Richie out for KDB and Bradley from -4, roll, please. I think Trent's got to go, personally. So then effective Richarlison to KDB from -4. Yeah, different because of the extra fixture next week. That's the difference between that and Jota. Yes, but again, check your path to 29 if you're heading that way. Gavin Richardson says, morning, James. Love COTC this week. Good one, wasn't it, with Johnny and Tom? I thought, yeah. You seem to prefer Pinnock over Region for now / Game Week 29. Can you expand on that, pretty please? I don't at this minute, and I'll tell you why. You might have seen an account last night, and I don't know if it was bullshit, tweeting that Thomas Frank saying there was no injury problems was a lie. And I have seen someone speculate that the problem might be Pinnock. Now, chances are that's incorrect. I'm just showing you what I've seen somewhere. I don't know that by any means, but because of that, it would probably be Region now. To expand on the reason why I expanded Pinnock, I explained that on the COTC, Gavin. It was my experience of owning Rico Henry last year and promising myself that if I got into that zone with a Brentford or an Everton or a team like that again, who've got these big units who come forward from centre-back, that I'd go for the centre-back in a double game week rather than one of the full-backs. It's as simple as that, Gavin. Thomas McLeod says, morning, James. Any reason for me to not do Trent and Bernardo to Region and KDB from -4? Probably not, mate. Pushcar says, so is triple captain Haaland a no-brainer? What does your fixture plan and mind tell us? What other better picks we could get in coming game weeks? So, look, Solanke 28, and there'll obviously be other opportunities later in the season. But in terms of the big hitters, Haaland, Salah, it's going to feature away games. Son could have a double with 2 home games later in the season, but it's highly likely to feature Manchester City if that is the scenario. And there's no guarantee of a double game week at all for Tottenham if Manchester City don't get to the FA Cup semi-finals. In terms of an Arsenal, your best case scenario there is something like probably Wolves away and Chelsea at home. Like, is that better than what the big man's got now? No, for me, no. And I think logically as well, it's worked well for the majority of us to, when we landed on the first good double, a la Marcus Rashford last year, that doesn't interfere with bench boost and free hit ideas and that sort of thing. Just get it done. Get it done. Get it out the way. I don't think it will look better for anyone else than it looks for Haaland now. The next best probably will be Dominic Solanke in Gameweek 28. For those who are bench boosting, free hitting now, that sort of thing, I think there's every chance they'll go down that Solanke triple captaincy route in Gameweek 28. But for me, honestly, as I said earlier, if City had Liverpool at home and Arsenal at home this week, I'd be triple captain Haaland. 2 home games. Non-debate for me, personally. Andre Klim says, hi James, do you think Palmer to Jota is worth a hit, or should I just play Bailey? Palmer to Jota worth a hit, or just play Bailey? Yeah, I'd probably gamble the upside on that one. To be honest, it leaves you similar for 26 and beyond. So, yeah, I'd probably gamble the upside for that, I think. Alex Abdella says, hey, James, done Trent to Gabriel. Bench Porro and play Estupinan, or take out Porro for a hit. Maybe Saliba, thanks. Trent to Gabriel. Yeah, bench Porro and play Estupinan. I'd probably bench it and just play Estupinan at the moment, rather than take a hit for Saliba. I think... Again, depends where you're heading, but Porro may yet be very useful for you. The expectation at the moment is that there's every chance he will be back for Gameweek 27. Remember, Tottenham blank next week. The wife says, okay, I also had Foden, who is the same colour, so I had too many light blues anyway. Okay. Yeah, cool. Solanke's going to be more useful for you in the next few weeks, I think. Go City defender, that'll also be more useful for you next week as well. All right, bye, love you, bye. Greg Frost says, thank you, Greg, for all your sharing recently. I've noticed, good man. Out of only these two, Darwin or Jota? Darwin, I think, gets moved next week. Here's my logic. You've probably got Haaland. I don't know the rest of your forwards, but if you go Haaland, you're probably going Watkins or Solanke next week. That would be my logic of thinking. If it had been Tony, you'd probably go now. With Jota, it's an easier hold through, I think, maybe, and assess. But it does depend what you're selling. For me, in terms of just them two and a preference, it's like flipping a coin, really. I think the answer lies in the future moves. I just think Darwin is a definitive, definite sell. Jota might be a little bit better to carry through. I've actually got Núñez above Jota for the captaincy this week, if you were thinking that way. But I think Jota for me, Greg. Lee Sherwood says, I'm replacing Colwell this week in order to bench Porro. Unlike you, I don't have Triple City yet. So is it Aki over Dallo, or would you still go Dallo? Oh, no, definitely. I'd have gone Aki. If I didn't have Treble City, I was what I've just advised to the wife, right, is go and get Nathan Aki. So, yeah, if I didn't have Treble City in place and it wasn't too much fucking about, then, yeah, Aki all day long for me would have been the one I'd have got. James Brennan says, hi James, would you go Porro to Robertson / Bradley? We'll move to Saliba next week, or Dubravka to Keller? We'll play Areola every other game week until 30. Already have 3 City and VVD and Núñez. Cheers, man. The thing is, Keller is the most likely to get the 2 games, isn't he? But there's way more upside in a Robertson or Bradley. And if you know that you're going to Saliba anyway, like if you're obviously saying you're not holding Porro longer term, I'd probably take that defensive route. Gareth James says, morning James, thanks for the content. As always, do you think it's worth a hit for Konate or Hwang to play instead of Trippier or Van Heck? Hwang only in thinking due to Spurs' fullback injuries. A useful fixture next week for Hwang, I think, is probably the bigger point here rather than now. But no, Tripp's got a good fixture. Van Heck's got a good fixture. I'd probably leave it be, mate. Patrick Lawson says, morning James, would you do Robert Sanchez to Keller and start over Areola, or do Porro to Doughty and bench one of Gabriel or Saliba? No. I'd play... I mean, Doughty over Gabriel or Saliba wouldn't even be a definite for me. I've got Doughty above Gabriel on the bench in dilemmas, but that's close in itself. No, I think Chelsea's the one team really to bin this week. The only thing I'd add to that is You might have heard me say on one of the pods this week that Nathan Gissing, a journalist, it keeps getting the Chelsea team right every week. He's predicted Sanchez to come back in today. And he did stress it was a prediction, and he hasn't in the past stressed prediction. But he thinks Sanchez back in for Chelsea today. Not that I guess she was going to start it this week anyway. But I actually think along this path, Chelsea's pretty useless to you. Because even if they play in 29, is Arsenal away, and surely you'd rather have the Arsenal assets. So I think, yeah, bin to Chelsea for me. Andrew Sands says, morning team. Tough week. Got Porro, Trent and Cunha all bench. Have Haaland, KDB, Foden and Jota. Gonna roll and watch the game from behind the sofa. Good luck all. Good luck to you too, Andrew. Let's have a check, see if we've got anything from our patrons. Yeah, okay, Aaron. I can't deal with that at the moment, but thank you, mate. Prashan says, hi James, would you do Turner, Trent, Silva for, I presume that's Kelleher, it's got to be, Maguire or Longley? I guess that's Longley. Is it meant to be Longley or Doughty? You aren't batting Clement Longley, are you, surely? KDB for a -4. Would you do Turner, Trent, Silva for Kelleher, Maguire, KDB for... Yes, but Maguire, mate, for me. Meninda says, morning, James. In a similar position to you regarding Saka, if I take the -4 to correct the error, it means benching Garnacho at Luton. Should I do for free next week? Aaron, you've really thrown me, mate. Morning, James. In a similar position to you regarding Saka, if I take the -4 to correct the error, it means benching Garnacho at Luton. Should I do for free next week? Yeah. Sorry, that's really shitty advice when I bought Saka myself. Would I have done it if I already had Garnacho in place? Yeah, do you know what? I think I'd have done it, actually. I think I'd have done it. It's close, that. I think I would have done it because I'd have gone this right time to sell Palmer as well. Yeah, I think I probably would have done. I'm assuming you're going for Palmer here, maybe. So there's that to consider as well. If it's for Palmer, yes. If it's not, maybe not. Nick says, who's the pick of the Liverpool mids? I can get Salah if needed, but no, he's likely not starting. Everyone seems to have gone Jota, but is Diaz potentially a safer pick with Salah coming back? Wouldn't necessarily describe it as safer, mate. It would just be Jota for me, mate. Chris Briggs says, morning, James. Thinking of Gay to a Bradley, Virgil van Dijk and Richarlison to Jota from -4. Again, factor 29 into your thinking, Chris. But if you're free hitting 29, then it's a yes. If not, then that needs more thinking. Pushcast says, if you're a non-owner, who is that one player you would fear from now to 29? Saka, and I've bought him right now, yeah. If I didn't own otherwise, Watkins. Actually, yeah. Not necessarily right now this week, but over the path to 29, yeah, Watkins. Chim says, hi James, with wildcard next week, would you do Rashford, KDB, Trent, Bradley or Diaby to Barkley and Trent, Aki to Virgil, no free Liverpool, free City, or Diaby to Diaz and Trent or Aki? Bloody hell, mate. There's a lot going on there. Rashford to KDB, sure. Trent, Bradley, sure. Diaby to Barkley, sure. Slight preference Van Dijk over Aki. Diaby to Diaz. They're all fine moves, mate. There's so much going on there. I'm not quite sure which one is the actual question. I feel like just to say that KDB should be your priority, mate. Andrew Jarvis says, morning, James. Current mid is Ward-Prowse, Gross, KDB, Foden, Jota. Does Saka need to be in the midfield from -4? No other Arsenal cover. If so, who goes? Plan to bring in an Arsenal defender next game. Good luck. Yeah, Ward-Prowse, go, mate. Yeah, even factoring 20. That's not like holding a Richarlison as I've advised for you to do. Ward-Prowse, bin that shit, mate. Yeah, get Saka in, mate, for Ward-Prowse. Cog says, hi, James. Thinking Trent and Dubravka to Region and Keller from -4 gets me to 11 for 26. Then plan 2 free transfer in game week 7. That's in a time machine. Palmer and Jota to get Salah in with maybe a Garnacho. Is it worth the -4 now? Have 3 City already. So Trent and Dubravka to Region and Kelleher. I think no for the -4, but Trent's got to go. Olivia Ward says Trent, Porro, Bowen to VVD, Aki, Jota, -4, worth it. You might want Bowen back next week. That's the only possible on that. You're leaving yourself in the same position for next week. On the face of it, I can't say no to the immediate on that -4, Olivia. FPL Marsh says, hi James, hope you and the family are well. Need to remove Trent and Porro, but looking at a -4 to remove one of Bowen or Palmer. Bowen allows me to get Salah, whereas Palmer I can only get to KDB. Thoughts? Palmer to KDB is my thoughts, mate. Alex Abdella says, unlikely, but thoughts if we get a team league, Murray's starting, could get him from -8. Porro and Richie out, though, so issue for 29, no. I looked at a -12 to get him in because he had to be looked at, right? But it's a no from me, mate. Kenneth Vaz says, get Matty Cash or Bradley can get a full 26 team for free next week. Well, there is no reason really at the moment to think that Matthew Cash won't play at the moment because of the injury to Konsa. That might get a little shaky towards game week 29 because that's roughly when we expect him back. Yeah, it looks pretty good, babe. Daniel Cullerton says, on a scale of 1 to 10, how annoyed were you at the end of last night's stream? Genuinely felt a bit bad. I hope you're all good now. I was absolutely raging, Daniel. You know me, I don't get worked up by stuff very easily. But one thing that does work me up is when technology fails, especially when I've been told in my ear, this won't happen. And I'm trusting someone else. I was a bit sorry with how angry I was. I wasn't specifically angry with Suj, but yeah, I was annoyed. I was annoyed. Yeah, I was pissed off. And don't normally get pissed off. Is when the tech fails is when I get ragey because it's like it's not my fault, right? The tech is letting me down. Francis Logan says benching Solanke, Garnacho, Dubravka, and got Porro, possibly change Region, bench boost, 3 City, 1 Liverpool, 1 Luton, or with triple captain the robot. So you're benching Solanke, Garnacho, Dubravka, and you might put Region there. I mean, that's a pretty good one to consider the bench boost, possibly. Personally, I'd still triple captain Haaland, personally. Callum says best Trent replacement. Currently on 5 players for blank game week 29, unless any surprised in cup. Phil move should be to cover that, but also like your Dallo shout. Look, straightforward. City player, right? Liverpool player gives you too much headache for next week. Ignore. Dallo, I've explained my reasoning, but above that, an Arsenal defender if you've got none. Frederick Hurt says, considering a -8 for Bernardo, Watkins and Martinez to KDB, Adebayo and Alisson, use free transfer for Darwin to Tony next week. Alternatively, I could skip the Alisson part and go to Watkins next week instead. I just would not be moving Watkins, Frederick. I just would not be moving it, right? How much are you saving yourself in terms of your pathway by just leaving Ollie Watkins there? Adam Holohan says, good morning, James. Dubravka to Kelleher or Dubravka to Keller and Richarlison to Jota. Need to do keeper move as well for the funds. Or save free transfer, play Dubravka and Richarlison. I ain't saved, mate. You'll feel better about next week as soon as the deadline's gone. Daniel says, also, did you know Pascal Chimbonda played a game for Skella Mesdale the other day where he's playing manager, he's 44. Yes, I'm aware of the Pascal Chimbonda situation. He managed to get a 5-match touchline ban, so registered himself as a player. True story. James Brennan says, FPL newsletter says Salah doesn't start. Don't know how reliable. Yeah, pretty reliable, mate. Patrons, if we've got anything, slacks the place. I'm keeping an eye on it. Berticus says, best defender for 4.5 million or under for the next 4 to 5 weeks is 8 Noria shout. Yes. He is. It depends. I mean, do you need next week specifically as well? I think I prefer Maguire, to be honest. I think next week's fixture's still good enough as well. This week you'd use it better than Aït-Nouri, I think. Actually, yeah, Maguire. Yeah, as madness as that sounds. Birth Media says, how's it, Jimbo? Do you think additional minutes should be added to the players' minutes in FPL? Could be more points on offer. No, it would be too messy. And oh my God, he played 45 minutes or 60 minutes. It's too messy, mate. No. Ben M says, -8. Trent, Aki, Porro to Saliba, Solanke to Darwin to reverse Solanke move next week. Worth it. It's that one at the end. I'm not. No, I think -4 and just leave Solanke. It's probably more my take. Bancy Castle says, would you do Porro and Bernardo to Aki and Bailey or Hwang from -4? Love the content. Keep up the good work. And come on, you Spurs. It was great seeing you in the stadium, by the way, the other week, mate. Thank you for saying hello. Although I feel like it's a couple of months ago now, but thank you for saying hello. I appreciated it. Nah, not convinced about getting Bailey or Hwang at this minute from -4. Could that not be free next week? I don't know. No, I'm not convinced on that. Bernardo's not 100% out. He probably is. No, I'm not loving either of them, to be honest, for a -4. FPL Marsh says, what are your top 3 defensive recommendations that will provide best cover up to and including Gameweek 29? Well, I can't say a Tottenham defender at the moment, can I? Because the 2 that you'd consider are both injured. So, up to and including, this is scraping a barrel, mate. Doughty, but you need some cover for next week. Moreno, I think. And to be honest with you, as long as he's back in the team today, which probably will be Pau Torres rather than a West Ham alternative, I think. You're very welcome, Ben. Thank you. Penguin says, hi, James. Hope you and the family are well. Have Aki, Gabriel. Would you replace Gusto with Reguilon, Pinnock, Saliba, or Villa defender from -4? I feel like, Penguin, good luck to you, mate. I've already kind of given my priorities on defensive players. I'm going to skip this now, mate, so I can try and get through others' questions. It's 14 minutes to deadline, guys. Again, patrons, if we've got anything, particularly obviously on Liverpool or City, give us a shout on Slack. We'll obviously get it shared. LP, hi James. Trent and Bowen to Dalot and KDB, or Trent and Palmer to Aki and Jota. Is Wan-Bissaka a threat to Dalot's minutes over the next 4 or 5 game weeks? Is he? Well, he's injured at the moment. He'll probably be back before 29 if United played in it. But no, I'm pretty convinced Dalot would be first choice. Remember, United haven't got cup commitments, so I would think Dalot would play and Wan-Bissaka would be used as cover. Cantonia says, hi James, love the content. Should I get in KDB for Palmer from -4 and bench Garnacho? Yeah, the upside of KDB, I'd do it, mate. Mufasa says, morning James, I've got Gabriel, Taylor, Zinchenko, Porro, Konsa. My God, I think Taylor plays. I don't, but the other 3 won't. Was thinking Porro to Maguire and Zinchenko to Saliba. Both would be for a hit. Get the hit done. Carmen says, would you take out Gordon for Saka from -4? No, Gordon is 3rd highest scoring at home games, isn't he? Might even play through the middle. It's a no for me. Cosmos says, looking to flip my City triple up. I'm going to just skip it, mate, and say don't flip your City triple up unless you've got injured players, mate. I've had this with flipping Alvarez to KDB. It costs that, and I've decided it's not worth it, mate. Michael Scott says, Watkins to Solanke on free transfer. We'll probably get back for Darwin next week, -4. I don't know why you do that. Just keep Watkins. Solanke to Darwin to Solanke next week. Jay Barker says, morning James, best Villa defender to buy up until 30-31. Lean towards cash reluctantly. He's going to be a lot more defensive at the moment, I think. Moreno for me, even though it's more dangerous. Personal opinion. Homegrown FPL said, messed up bringing in Alisson last week. Should I, for -4, bring in Keller? Giving me 6 double game week players. It's way more relevant in terms of what you're selling, my friend. For Greendale, it's a no, really, generally, without knowing what you're selling. For Greendale says, hi, mate, please let me know to bench Reguilon or Estupiñán. I would, out of that, play Estupiñán. honestly. Dragus B says, hi James, Trent to Aki and Alvarez to Darwin for a -4, or Trent to Van Dijk and keep Alvarez. Yeah, the free transfer. FPL team, Pete Sin says, hello mate, very well and today, thank you. Hope all is good your end. Do you think Porro to Trippier is worth a -4 and play the bench boost, or just leave it and play triple captain? If it was free, Pete, because I know what the rest of your bench is, I'd have said yes. For the hit, no. I'd want you to reevaluate your bench target to 20, and I think there's every chance you'll miss it. Trippier gives you an extra fixture next week, but it's Arsenal away. Porro's path towards 29 is better and a known fixture. I would stick with the triple captaincy, mate. FPL Lighthouse says, hi James, Trent to Aki, Osula to Darwin, Palmer to Phone from -4, worth it and fine for 26 plan and rolling, many thanks. It sounds like it to me, mate. Good luck. Pranav says, take a hit to transfer out Porro, or hold Porro and play Bell / centre side for the third defender. We already have Doughty and Bradley currently. I mean, yeah, just probably play Bell and hope for a miracle clean sheet in there somewhere. KL says, hi James, start Bell or Pau Torres, and would you also transfer in Flecken for Turner? I have the Bravka already. I don't mind that because Flecken will obviously carry you 29 as well. It's worth saying neither's got a good fixture in 28, and therefore Kaminsky might really be the better route for you, but obviously recognise that Kaminsky doesn't play next week and Dubravka's fixture is shit, so you need to just consider your options through there. That's quite close, but I don't mind that with Flecken. In terms of starting Bell or Pau Torres, yeah, I would start Bell. FPL Red says, should I start Raya or Dubravka at Raya? If I start Royal, it's got to be Raya. I'll be on triple arse defence with Gabriel and Saliba. Feels a bit overexposed. One Burnley kills my defence, but Raya seems a better shout. Yeah, just triple Arsenal defence, mate. Jassim Jazz says, hi James. Trent to Gabriel done. Porro to Pinnock. Solanke to Tony. Darwin for -8. Thoughts and reason behind? No, just stick with where you're at, mate. I think stick with where you're at. Obviously someone else is going to play instead of Porro. Who that is relevant. Liam says, would you start Trippier or Estupinan? No, that's a trips, mate. Ulrich says, hey James, good luck for this game week. I got Alisson in last week for -4. Alisson sick last week and hamstring this week, so a little bit of luck would be nice. Well, I wish you plenty, mate. J-Lord Broski, my friend, says, morning Broski, my second team was 838 overall last week. You can't have second teams, mate. Haalandless all season, but last week hurt. Anyways, do you think triple captain KDB is better call this week than Solanke double game at 28, as everyone will have him capped then? No, I still think Solanke. I think there's enough doubt on KDB playing twice this week for me. I like the upside of having him. I would like to have him myself. Captain for triple captain, no, I'd let it go, I think, mate. Meninda says, best defender option for 5.4 under. Sorry, I was reading something thinking it might be team news. It's not. Best defender option for 5.4 under that plays next week. Got Gabriel Doughty share already. Saliba. He's probably not, is he, Saliba? I'm going to go Dallo. Sheriff says, hi mate, would you get Kelleher for a hit? I'm going to skip that because I've basically said no to nearly everybody. Matthew Hall, bench 1, Saka, Watkins, Gordon. Crap. Gordon with reluctance. Pat says, wildcard active. Good for you, mate. Ready Can Dance says, hey James, took a -4 after the press conference for Alisson. Absolutely gutted. Another -4 for Kelleher. I'll just play Areola. I'm a sucker for a double game week player. The hit is effective over Areola, isn't it? Also got to bear in mind you probably are almost definitely going to get rid of Alisson at some point. Yeah, I think that's the one maybe where people have got Alisson, then I'd say yeah, because what next? And you've got Areola next week, so it never moves and it becomes problematic for you. So if you're going to go for the upside of it, it's possibly now. Areola covers 28 and 29, absolutely fine. Kelleher will give you a better fixture in 27, I think. Not that Areola's particularly bad in 27. So yes, for the people who've got Alisson, I don't mind it. Daniel says taking a -8 already. Tony in for Watkins for a -4, so that will make it -12 this week. Then Watkins back in for Darwin for -4 again to field 11 players game at 26. Thank you, Pat. Good luck to you too. FPL Barcelona. Morning, James. My benching dilemmas are Estupinan or Regia. Play Estupinan, Palmer or Watkins. Thoughts? I'd play Watkins. Pranjal. Watkins over Gordon for me, as per the benching dilemmas, mate. Mitch Gregson says, hi James, when planning transfers I'd be burning a transfer in 26, however doing Kelleher in for Dubravka means I don't burn it and get a double of thoughts, then crack on, you've got a plan. Uros says, hi James, you expect Alisson to miss both games? It sounds like it at the moment, yes. Where's these leaks? Where are they? Where are the leaks? We not really got any, or has everyone just assumed that's the Liverpool team? Rhett would like everyone to hit the like button. Thank you, mate. Spud says, morning James, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you. With Bernardo Adat, would you start Estupinan or Palmer instead? Estupinan. Yeah. Daniel Thomas, morning James, 2 questions. No on Kelleher -4. Start Gabriel or Collins? Gabriel, mate. Patrick Lawson, bench one of Gabriel, Saliba, Garnacho. Christ on a stick, mate. Garnacho. That's madness. Alex MJ87 says, would you do Leno to Kelleher for a hit? No. Heather, morning James, Kanate to Aki from -4. Why? No, Kanate fine for this week. Zedonk1 says, hi James, would you do a -8 Porro and Trent to Aki and VVD? Yes. Alexander Farmar says, playing the wildcard in game at 31, would you take a -4 Kelleher? God, this is repetitive, guys. Thank you, Leo. Thank you, Aswini, Heather, Rhett, Mustafa. Cheers, guys. Eddie says, thoughts of bringing in Kaminsky and Doughty rather than Kelleher or VDV, and another because of 28 and chance Luton get a game in 29. What do you think, mate? Yeah, sure, but how does it leave you for 29? I don't mind it at all. RBKK2009, with Alisson out, would Edison work with Dubravka? I just hate Edison as a pick. I mean, does it? Yeah, sure. I just hate it as a pick. 28, Edison goes to Liverpool and Dubravka goes to Chelsea. Whoop, whoop, great, amazing. I'm not keen, mate. A Gamer Time says, is everyone triple capping? Yeah, probably by the sounds of it. Yeah, I don't know if I want to go down that route, Rhett, of sharing that, but I appreciate it. Let me check that. We are a couple of minutes to deadline, guys. Do make sure you're obviously getting yourselves locked in. Yeah, I mean, that's what I've got predicted anyway, Rhett, so thank you. Tommaso says, thank you, Frederick. Tommaso says, play Gusto or sell him to Maguire, and I'll also have one between Maguire. Mate, am I this far behind on the questions? Madness. I should have just skipped every Kelleher question. Play Gusto or sell him to Maguire? Sell him. Andrew Sands, if you, Suj and Clayton were current Premier League players, which ones would you be? Suj would be Ryan Fredericks. Clayton would be Mason Holgate. Sorry, Clates. And I would be Rodrigo Bentancur. Needshand123 says, unfortunately, have Gvardiol and TAA. Is it just a straight swap for Aki and VDV for -4? Yes, mate. James K just joined. So ignore if this question's already been covered, but it's Porro, keep or sell. Depends on your plans, mate. I'm keeping. FPL Pilkington says, I hope Harry's happy at primary school. Bless him, he is. Thank you, mate. Thomas Jones says, hey, James, would you rather play Stupinan or take a hit to play Aki? I'd probably leave it. Pete Haley says, hi James, best defender and mid to get. I got 12.6 for next week, preferably good for game week 29. Next week, Bowen or Kudus. Gordon Hamilton says Flecken and Tony for Areola and Watkins for -4. Roll. Simon Ellis, Dubravka, Keller. Done this to death, Simon. You'll have had the answer by now. Fighter Jet says, morning James, play Van Heck or Senasite. Van Heck. Thomas says, I've done that one, pal. Daniel Zamata says, hi James, Doku worth the pump for -4. Go safe with Foden instead. Not massively keen on that with Doku. I'd go Foden, mate. That's the first time he's been mentioned on this stream, I think. Gordon Hamilton says, I'm the opposite. I was bringing Addison, only now considering Kelleher. Goozney says, should I get Region or Van Heck so I can afford Darwin Núñez this week from -4? But it means I'll be with 8 players instead of 9 for game at 29. Not keen, mate. Not keen. Gross to KDB -4 says Scout Sharma. Yes, probably. And I think we've hit deadline, guys. And I'm sorry that there's so many of you that I've not got through. But I hope that your questions were essentially answers during that piece. No Manchester City information by the sounds of it, which is surprising. Interesting, that. Interesting. But we're all locked in now, guys. That is the deadline gone. If you came just for the FPL stuff, smash a like, hit the sub button. We're very close to 15,000 subs now, so if we could get to it, that would be amazing. You can only post in the chat if you're subscribed as well anyway. Stole that off of Az. Excellent episode on Black Box the other day with Mark, mate. It was good to see Mark back. What do I want to do now? Let's do some non-FPL questions. I wish you all the very best of luck. Remember, the game week is 5 days old, so don't shoot your load too quickly if the lunchtime kickoff goes great. There's a long way to go. And don't cry if it goes necessarily badly. There's a long way to go in the game week. In terms of upcoming content for you, if you want to support the show, it's www.patreon.com/planetfpl. I can tell you next week in terms of our podcast, we'll have our Q&A. Obviously, it's probably going to be a quiz this week. Money Football Thursday. Wednesday be Tottenham, so you should be back with me for that. We'll have our Game Week 26 preview podcast on Friday. There'll be video content for advanced tier patrons all through the week as well. We'll probably have a look at a Game Week 26 wildcard and Game Week 26 free hits for those that it interests as well. And of course, some of the advanced tier content stays timeless for quite a while if it's non-FPL related, such as the 20-minute talking tactics piece I did on Xavi Alonso's Bayer Leverkusen last night, if that's of interest to you. And also includes other nonsense such as Nico's Corner, which involved chats about love lives this week and some explicit stuff that I don't care to say publicly, and also eating Big Macs, which you might have seen this week as well. If you want to support the show, it's www.patreon.com/planetfpl. Do it because you want to support the content and the free stuff we deliver, or because you want the additional content. There is, of course, plenty of free stuff available for you coming up on this channel and obviously on the usual audio platforms throughout the week as well. So you'll be with me for the... Actually, no, I think Clayton's doing it with me. Game Week Review podcast on Monday. Obviously going over the 9 games played over this weekend. Tuesday, clash of the correspondents is Manchester United versus Fulham with Gary Robinson and Dara Curran, and I can confirm our schedule leading towards game week 29 as well. Before game week 27 it'll be Tottenham v Crystal Palace with Ricky Saunders and Rory McLaughlin-Dowd. Game week 28, yes of course, Neil Grover and Dan Ashbury for Bournemouth versus Luton. And game week 29 will be Chris Stone and Lee Jackson for West Ham versus Aston Villa before the blank as well. On Wednesday, Sky Fantasy Football podcast. On Thursday, we're going to do a real short form game week review podcast where we're going to talk about the 3 games played Monday to Wednesday. So that's Everton versus Palace, obviously City against Brentford, and Liverpool versus Luton, and then what we're thinking for 26 and beyond. I'll be streaming probably 12 o'clock on Friday as well. The deadline stream next week is at the later time, remember, of... I think it's a later time, isn't it? Isn't it a 1:30 deadline next week? I think if it is, then obviously deadline stream. Yes, it is 1:30 deadline next week. So the deadline stream at 12:30 next week instead. That's the content coming up. Right, let's get into some of your non-FPL stuff. Ian from Melbourne, Big Mac after the Spurs game, mate. I don't think I'll be having any Big Macs for a while, pal. Mahesh says, who is a more intelligent player, Haaland or Nunes? That's interesting. I think Haaland's penalty area movement might be the best in the world. And you need some form of intelligence for that. So I'm going to say Haaland. Islam says, hi James, hope you're fine. Play Bowen or Solanke. Deadline's gone, mate. Deadline's gone, Daniel. It would help if I actually went to the questions put in after deadline. Sorry, guys. Rock Pie 123 says, what was the last thing that happened on a football pitch that made you laugh out loud? Oh, God. Oh, they put me on the spot now. But there's normally something every week that actually makes me laugh out loud. It can be someone doing something like not tracking a run will make me laugh or something. I can't think. I'm on the spot there, mate. I'm trying to like process so many games through my head. And when I'm doing that, all I can think of like really old stuff from like 15, 20 years ago and stuff. So I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Sorry, mate. I'm going to be boring and skip. Paul Robertson says, out of 100%, what chance do you give Liverpool Premier League title? I like that. Out of 100%, what, as opposed to out of 50%. I think 20 is probably about right. 20 to 25. I think Arsenal is probably slightly behind that at the moment, probably more like 10 to 15. And City makes up the rest. That feels about right, doesn't it? Sort of about 60% City, maybe a bit more for City. That feels about right. Super Scotty Squad says, best FPL content I've come across. Great knowledge of the game. Cheers, James. Hey, Scotty. Very much appreciate that, mate. Excuse me. Thank you. Pushcar says, did you try your hand at UCL Fantasy? What are your thoughts on the format in general? I think there are a bit too many team overhaul options, but knockout format's hard to make right in fantasy. Yeah, play, and on Patreon, me and Clayton do UCL Fantasy podcasts on a Tuesday whenever there's a deadline. So we did one this week, just gone. Obviously won't do another one for probably 3 weeks. But yeah, we do the UCL Fantasy podcast on Patreon, me and Clayton. Andrew Jarvis says, hey mate, thanks for the advice earlier. Couldn't afford Ward-Prowse to sack, unfortunately, so left it be. Good luck, pal. Carl Miller says, oh, we've lost Carl. Pick one of these three as your favourite spur of the bunch. Lamella, Ericsson, Winks. Ericsson by distance, mate. Yeah. Absolutely outstanding when he was at his best. Between there was moments as well, I think of some big moments like in the run-in with Chelsea in 16-17 when we had the odd game where we didn't play great. Like, he'd get the goal at Palace, he'd kind of keep the game ticking over, like the assist for the equaliser at Swansea, the assist for the second goal at Swansea, then he scored the third goal. That was all inside from the 89th minute onwards. Assist and a goal in big games. And yeah, great Christian Eriksen, which is his peak, and a shame that it kind of left with a kind of empty feeling, because we knew that he wanted to leave and he wanted a different challenge and stuff. Still very much loved. Winksy, Tottenham through and through. Glad to see that he's doing really well at Leicester at the moment. I saw the winning goal he got at West Brom a few weeks ago. Saw him nearly miss it, but at least it went in. Some plays that he's doing really well. I think he's been really unfortunate with injuries. Lamella was a proper shit house, wasn't he? But was a better player than people give credit. Ironically, I remember a game, this will sound mad now, we played at Liverpool in the 15-16 season when we were trying to chase Leicester, and Lamella didn't play. It was after an international break, and Son played instead. This sounds mad in hindsight now, but Lamella was a massive miss. Huge miss. Because he instigated the press for Tottenham at the time. So he had some really good off-the-ball attributes as well as on the ball. But it has to be Eriksen from them three, mate. Andrew Jarvis says, Sky question, who's the best Porro replacement? Well stocked on Man City, including Aki. Best Porro replacement. It's not Romero at this stage. There's a case to say a Liverpool player, but I probably wouldn't go for any other than VVD, and it's probably not going to be affordable for you in that. You said you're well stocked in City, did you? Yeah, that's the obvious one. Otherwise, it's Nathan Aki now. Trying to think ahead here. If you haven't got Palmer, Andrew, I think it's an Everton player on Monday. If you have got Palmer, then it's something else. It's something else. It might, do you know what? It might even still be a Brighton player, you know. Could be. Might give you a better captain tomorrow. Van Heck, if you don't have, is just a super enabler in that at the moment. There's a few for you, buddy. FPL Copycat Brian says, James, do you expect Everton to have any deductions reversed? I mean, look, not part of the panel, so it's obviously very difficult to say. I expect the 10 points to be reduced, but then they might get more in April as well. I would like them to get some points back. I think, yes, there should be some punishment still, but I also think it's a bit excessive what's happened to them. So, to answer your question in short, I think yes. LH says, Sky, James, best Porro replacement. Cheers, literally just done it, mate. Birth Media says, Jimbo upset on the cards for United at Kenilworth Road. I don't think so, because other than Martinez, they're basically at full strength now, aren't they? That team's beginning to look quite settled. We think Luke Shaw will make it tomorrow as well. So I'd be surprised to think as well, if you think about Luton as an opponent as well, like actually having Varane and Maguire might even be beneficial as opposed to Martinez. So no, I think they'll be alright tomorrow. I don't think they'll win comfortably. I think like they'll win, but it'll be tight. But I think United will win tomorrow. Pushkar says, over the last decade, which top 5 Premier League goals come to your mind? It's difficult to be right, but which do you remember? They're going to be Tottenham goals first and foremost, so I have to remove them. So, all right, but I've got to have Sonny against Burnley in there, and I was bloody Puskas award. Garnacho against Everton. Recently, staggering, isn't it? Get Arsenal out your head. Salah against Chelsea was a good one, weren't it? In terms of its importance at the time and the way he hit it. You know, he hit it from the angle like an arrow. That's it's coming up to nearly 5 years ago, that. But you did say that period, didn't you? There's a few for you. Matthew Hogban says, hello James, hope you and your family are well. Sky question, have Alisson, who would be your keeper of choice to move to? Don't have coverage of Everton Palace on Monday. Jordan Pickford all day long, mate. Yeah, honestly. Yeah, this is what we debated on Wednesday. That I thought Pickford was the right move for most people, but it probably wasn't right for people who had Areola. Specifically, like me. So, Pickford Monday, mate. Shame you're missing the fixture, obviously, with Alisson today, but think of it as you wouldn't have moved Alisson to Pickford, so it's going to open up another opportunity for you. Lee Jackson says, do you think Sky Sports will mention Villa's injury list as much as they did Tottenham earlier in the season? I don't know, mate, but I'm pretty sure that you will. Rhett says, have you ever missed the deadline doing something for Harry? I have triple captain on Darwin versus Haaland due to my 2-year-old having a major blowout. No, because I'm probably sitting here and so it's almost helpful rather than getting distracted. He falls down the stairs or something. That doesn't happen often. It doesn't happen at all. So no, because I'm sitting here, I can't really, can I? And if I'm not sitting here, it's because I've gone to watch Tottenham, almost definitely. So no, James says, what do you think about Neville and Keane suggesting teams weren't clean in the Champions League when they played? I saw it. I saw that. I'd say I saw it. I saw a clip of it that was going round from their overlap show. I don't know. It's a bold thing to say if they don't mean it. That's kind of the only thing. The only thing I can add to that. Vinyl says, morning James, good luck this week. Who's your favourite current Prem player personality? Ben White has me stitches on and off the field. Okay. Morpay. It's just an unbelievable shithouse. He's shithouse so bad and for so long now, I almost admire it at this stage. Personality on and off the pitch that I really like. Jack Grealish. It just comes across as someone who's like not been media trained and stuff. So Jack. Sean Reed says, hi James, sorry for the question but missed Ask James on Friday. What do you think Alonso would do with this Liverpool team? Well, I kind of covered this on the end of Talking Tactics piece I did for advanced tier patrons last night. But to not give the game away, let's just say two things. One, clearly favours a back three at the moment. Two, I don't think it's a certainty that that's necessarily what he'd play with Liverpool. And I think he could potentially adapt, actually. I think he's an excellent coach. Yeah, quite impressed with what I watched last week. Fighter Jet says, hi James, replacements on Sky for Porro and Trent third defender is this Stupinan, thanks. I've just started the third time now, my friend, so I'm going to skip, but thank you. FPL Gold Galazzo, good morning FPL top advisor, smash a like, you mugs, every week mate, thank you buddy. Lee Jackson says, out of 100%, what do you think the chance of Clayton getting top 10k are? I love that you put out of 100%. Top 10k. I don't know where he is at, to be honest. He's doing really well. He's like 43k or something. I'm gonna say, because he's picking my ear every day on strategy, 25%. I'll be nice about it. I was going to say less, actually. Thomas Powell says, I remember the Swansea v Spurs FA Cup game where Ericsson tore us apart. Hell of a player in his prime. Yeah, he scored twice in that one. I got a beautiful goal from outside the box, didn't he? I can't remember if it was in goal for Swansea. I feel like it wasn't Flappy. And it was like he was almost running. It was one of them, it bent in. It was almost like running past the post. He just got it such a perfect, with his bad foot as well, such a perfect clean connection on it. And that was 11 months after the other game at Swansea I was talking about. FPL Gold Galazzo, if you could pick one for Spurs, Eze or Elise, and the reasons why. Personal opinion, in terms of footballing ability, I think Elise would kind of be perfect fit for Tottenham in terms of that right hand side. It's like Kulusevski on steroids, isn't it, basically? So I can see that. There's plenty of murmurs of Pedro Neto beginning to gain a bit of momentum in the Tottenham community as well. So we're looking for that kind of profile for that side of the pitch, I think. Could Eze play with Maddison? Yes, in my opinion, in certain fixtures. But I think, what would improve the team first and foremost, I think it's Elise, isn't it? But I certainly wouldn't turn away either, mate. James Lovegrove says, cheers for the stream, James. I'm off to the cottage now with Watkins sitting first on my bench. I think a few beers will be had either way today. Have a good one. And to you too, James. Enjoy the game, mate. Rhett says, whose sudden unpreparedness do you find more entertaining during pods? Clates or Suge? Clates the other day on the Patreon pod. That got me good. We're going to talk about free hit 20. This is what we did. So obviously the People's Poll podcast was planned to 29. Then we did the two losing topics on Patreon on Thursday. So we did a free hit for this week, and then we did a discussion between bench boosting or triple captain this week. So he starts the pod and I go, Clayton, do you want to go through what you do on a free hit this week? He's like, I've not done it. I'm like, are you kidding? It's not obvious. You want to talk about free hit and you don't know what you do yourself. It's quite a straightforward one, though. That got me good. Rockpie123 says, all right then, what's the thing from 15, 20 years ago that made you laugh out loud? The one I had in my head was obviously, the David Dunn, the Rabona attempt when he fell over the ball. That was all I could see in my head, mate. Paul Robertson says, thanks for answering my question about Liverpool. As an Australian, I'm curious about how excited you are as a Spurs fan to have Ange in charge of the next cluster of transfer windows. Very much so, Paul. I'm delighted with what he's done so far. And we're close enough now, me and Ange, that I see a few things that he does that annoy me a little bit. But that's okay because the majority is good, and this is where it gets a little bit dangerous. We're beginning now to move away from the enjoy the ride to the ride is good. What can we be? That phase of change is beginning to happen. It's not even necessarily for this season. Like, I don't think it's a must for us to finish top 4. Obviously, I want to, and to be honest, from this stage we should. But I can feel a little bit of a change now in me and my psyche, where rather than trying to understand some of the things he's doing, I've seen enough of it now where there are a couple of little aspects that I don't like, actually. But 95% of it is brilliant, mate. I'm so happy with him. Rhett says, has Harry been to a Spurs match? And if not, when do you think he'll attend his first? No, I don't think it'll be any time soon. I don't think, in all honesty, he's not ready for that at the moment. He's not got enough interest, and it would be way too much for him to do that for 90 minutes as it stands at the moment. So not any time soon. But don't rule it out next season. There is a discussion that's already happened in this household that's been a bit of an argument that might mean that I maybe would have to take him if we ended up in a Europa League game. Long story. IMC says, thanks for your answer for my question. Free hit 25 in yesterday. Still have probability that top teams will blank in 34. End up getting Sun and Region -4. 10 available in 29. I really can't bother to cover this, mate. Okay, good luck. James Brennan says, how funny is it to you that Van Persie basically ignores that he ever played for Arsenal? I mean, nothing to me, mate. Sorry, does he? I don't know. Kevin, it's obviously not funny because I wasn't even aware of it. Kevin Mahar says, hi James, I've been watching some old Spurs games on YouTube and saw Jeff Hurst injure himself on a cameraman behind the goal. Do you know when they stopped being behind the goal? Some still are, aren't they? But you normally got the advertising hoarding in the way, so I can't really answer that. Sam Jones says, thoughts on... I'm not doing any more FPL, Sam. I just wish you good luck for the week, mate. FPL Spartan says, hi James, have Alisson in Sky, plan to do him to Pickford Monday. Yep. Would you move Pickford to Sarr or Pickford to Neto, Bournemouth, and have a Wolves attacker? Have the transfers regardless. So if you go to Neto, you're going to go one more, aren't you? So you're going to keep Pickford for West Ham at home, which seems perfectly reasonable to me. Then go to Neto on the Sunday. Yep, that's okay. Or obviously Sarr next Sunday is fine as well. I guess it probably more depends. You want the extra Bournemouth because you're almost definitely going to go for Solanke, don't you? Yeah, I probably prefer the Neto route just because you'll have a little bit more information then as well. And I think if, hypothetical here, let's say if Wolves Bournemouth did happen in 29, you might feel even more of an urge to get Neto, but then you obviously wouldn't do it from Sarr because you'd have Sarr in place. So yeah, maybe the Neto route. It obviously means, it's going to mean Hwang or Pedro Neto. For Wolves, isn't it? Addy Tour says, hi James, does Neville comments describing City as boring surprise you? I've not seen it, but I heard that he said it. Listen, it's not an opinion that isn't shared by anyone else. People think they're boring in terms of the way they control the game, and I think on occasions that it can be boring to watch. Do I think they per se are boring? No. Can it be boring to watch when they're 2-0 up and they're stifling an opponent and the opponent has no interest in getting back in the game? Yeah, that is a bit boring, but I don't necessarily think that's City's fault. It's City controlling. It's why they're the best, right? It's Arsenal have moved towards this model this year a little bit as well in terms of like their control on the ball makes them more difficult to beat, and they're less likely to have that erratic period like they had obviously after the March international break last season. They're less likely to have it. Does it surprise me? No. I think Gary Neville, unfortunately, and I respect him massively as a journalist, and I think he actually was a big part of some positive change in terms of media change, and I think the stuff he began to do on Monday Night Football was game changing and brilliant actually for the industry and more of it. But I do feel like over the last couple of years he's gained an awareness that some of his words can travel a long way, and I think stick to the foot. He knows when he says something like that he's going to get picked up, I think, and unfortunately that's where a lot of it goes, right? We know that. You know, if I was sitting here just giving it outlandish, like, I know what the City team's going to be and Liverpool team, be more people watching the stream, more people liking it, be more subs, all that. I've not really got an interest in going down that route. Gary Neville's grown enough now that he knows where his words will carry. But I also, at the same time, I don't massively disagree with the statement. I'm surprised he said it, yeah. Their portfolio says, hi James, Dwayne The Rock Johnson or John Cena? Finally. The Rock. Yeah, I'm a Rocky lad. Ian from Melbourne says, what's your England 11 for the opening Euro games, assuming all available? My 11 or Gareth's 11? My 11. There's a few calls now. There's a few things that have changed recently that I'd like to see in March. One is Joe Gomez at left back. One is Kobe Mino. Just throw him in. Let's look. Let's look at what he looks like next to Declan Rice. Those have changed. Also, Cole Palmer really needs to be found a place into this squad. Can we get Foden, Bellingham central? I suggest a better way of doing it is probably just having Foden come off the left and float. It's probably going to be a better way of doing it. But that's counterproductive by having a defensive fullback. So therefore, rather than Joe Gomez, you really need Luke Shaw. I think Gareth is quite uneasy about Ben Chilwell. So if it's Luke Shaw, fine. So, okay, let's say everyone fit. What I would do and what he'd do is two different things. Because I would, personally, Rice, Bellingham, Foden, all central for me. And probably stick it out as Rashford left wing. With Saka right, Kane up front. If you're doing it that way, it's probably not a place for Trent. So I think if Foden's going left, I think at the moment it's Trent in midfield with Rice. I think this team needs Cole Walker still, for me personally. Maguire's in good form, so he's going to be him and John Stones at the moment. And then it's Shaw left back. And for all the challenges that have come forward, I mean, at the moment, Jordan Pickford feels very, very safe in comparison to the others, doesn't he? So, yeah, I think it'd be defined by Foden's positioning, maybe. Who's next? FPL Marshall James, what's the biggest what the fuck moment in football that you've seen live? The first thing that came in my head was not a what the fuck moment, but it was also like what the fuck was obviously what happened to Fabrice Muamba. But I don't think you've laced the question that way. I think you've laced it as in like an oh my god, like something in terms of the actual ball, like a goal scored or a last minute goal or whatever. I mean, for me, it's Lucas Moura in Amsterdam, isn't it? It's that, I think. I think it has to be for me. Sorry. But it is that. Yeah, I think it is the Lucas Moura. James Brenner says, would you take Mino to the Euros? Cheers, great stream as always. I'd certainly put him in the next squad and look at him. I think yes. I said a few weeks ago that I thought this Calvin Phillips move to West Ham was very dangerous for him. And so far I think it has been. And I mean that in relation to his England prospects. Russell Baker says, just a quick Wood out to get well soon. Roy, I think he meant word out, but yeah, obviously wish Roy Hodgson a speedy recovery. I don't think we actually know who's managing Crystal Palace on Monday at this stage, but his health is the most important thing, obviously. James says, what do you say at the end of videos? Cue music, man-child. Man-child as in, I'm a grown man, but I'm also a child. Man-child. Where does man-child come from? Our first original editor was Arjun Shah, whose name is Man-Child. Why is he called Man-Child? Because he went to do a video shoot with Fat Man Scoop. Yes, the real Fat Man Scoop. Fat Man Scoop. And Fat Man Scoop said, who's this Man-Child? True story. Gavin Richardson says, have a great week and away the lads. Good luck to you, Gavin. Russell Baker says, I do dislike the press. Jesus, it are past already. Right, I'm going to finish with Russell's Cantona question. But obviously it's 11:30, so I can confirm team news for you and we'll see if this Liverpool team was correct. I suspect it probably is. In your own time. Let's answer the question. Russell Baker, I do dislike the press. Fabrizio got Elise's release clause wrong in the summer and now claims Hodgson got the sack, which he hasn't. He was holding the fort since Bournemouth when he resigned. So that Liverpool team is exactly what we thought it would be. And the Brentford team has no Ethan Pinnock. So that rumour I saw was right. No Ethan Pinnock. Not in the squad. So that was the one that they were rumouring there was a Brentford problem injury. It was Ethan Pinnock. There's a few would have gone there. If I'd have gone there, that's the Brentford player I'd have bought. Moving on. Louis Bollard says, hi James, hope you're well. Thoughts on Cunha to Tony and Sky. Have Palmer for Everton. Yeah. The only thing, again, caution. You're going to want to get Solanke, right? On, I'm going to guess, the Sunday when they play Burnley. Okay, whatever that is. Sunday the 3rd, I think it is. Okay. Now, if you've got Haaland, he's playing Manchester United that day. If you've got Watkins, you can move to Solanke, maybe miss Watkins against Tottenham and then come back for West Ham, but it's going to cost you 2 transfers. That's the only thing with Tony. Are you happy to move him on to Solanke? It's a similar problem to the FPL one. Just got to be cautious of that because the front three that I would want is, in all seriousness, from a captaincy perspective, is Haaland, Watkins, Solanke, and Tony's potentially going to block that. That's all. But otherwise, if you want to go there, now under your circumstance, now would obviously be a good time with the extra fixture in midweek. FPL Crusader says, thanks for the great daily content, James. Best in the business. Thank you. Do you know when teams announce their pre-season tours? Would like to see Fulham in Australia one day. It's kind of ad hoc, isn't it? What I would say is I know that the Premier League series in America last year, didn't they? They want to do it in Asia, but most of the Premier League clubs don't want to join it. They don't want to join it because they want to be able to do their own games and organise their own stuff because then they can sell their own TV packages. That's why. Whereas if they're under the Premier League umbrella, then there's a few games there that they're not. So I think a few have reacted on that last year and realised that those who did their individual stuff made more money. So there might be that's putting quite a delay in things possibly to this year, where it might be that even the Premier League needs to offer these clubs more money, for example, to go on these tours. But it's ad hoc. I've known Tottenham to announce like 12 months in advance where they're going, and I've also known them to leave it quite late till now. So now there's no set time on it, my friend. TSAFC says, hey James, have watched any of the bunch of amateurs channel on YouTube. They're following of Dorking Wanderers and some grassroots teams like Charlwood during the season. Entertaining watch. Okay, not heard of them. Paul Robertson says, have you got an early tip for the Football Championship playoff? Yeah, Leeds. FPL Spartan says, thanks for your reply, James. I like Bournemouth's fixtures, so I favour Neto in goal to Sarr, and I'll get Solanke also in on Sunday the 3rd of March. Might split Hwang and Pedro Neto as my Wolves attackers in my 2 teams. Good luck. David Whelan, hello my friend, says, surely Curtis Jones deserves a call-up given a chance for the next international break. Quite agree with that as well. Yep. He's a player that I've not spoken about recently, but a couple of months ago I'd had and was like, yeah, it's inevitable that he's gonna get that opportunity. So yes, Curtis Jones as well. I'd like to see in the squad, both him and Kobe Mino. Russell Baker, last one we're going to do, says Cantona at Palace or Clive Thomas in the 1978 World Cup finals, blowing the final whistle after the corner in 78, was 6 years old, as a what the fuck moment. It's no question, is it? So we'll just leave it there. Gavin says, glad I went Region. Gavin says, wouldn't have gone there without listening to COT say. Yeah, but I said Pinnock on there, didn't I? So I'm glad you listened to Tom rather than me. These things are always unpredictable, aren't they? Kevin Maher says, hi James, did your dad go to the FA Cup semi-final against Wolves at Highbury? If so, has he told you any stories about it? Yeah, that like 85% of the ground was Tottenham. And yes, of course he was there. He was on the North Bank with my mum, I'm pretty sure, as well. Right, that's it. We'll leave it there. Have a great week, everyone. Hope your hours are green. Clayton be back with me on Monday for the first part of the Gameweek 26 review. Have a great weekend, everyone. Smash a like, hit the sub button. Ciao for now.